Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way, fighting forever against overwhelming odds, fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms, idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out to Show or Shadowfell. Hey, hey, together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss. Hey, hey, bad guys to slay, fighting forever against overwhelming odds, fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms, idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm dead. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions, idle champions, idle champions, idle champions.
And that's my cue. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am Gaarawarr, and this is Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show, where I talk about a topic for like an hour, and then I answer questions for another hour. That's this show. That's this show. Today's topic, Gaar is going to be Gaarawarr's Guide to Dragondown Year 6. Anytime an event starts, the tutorial show right after the event starts is always going to be about the event. Always going to be about the event, so that you have as much information as you might need to go out and plan your time accordingly and make efficient use of your game experience. That's the thing. That's what I like to do. With me today, running production side of things, is Gabe. Say hello to Gabe, everybody. Gabe's going to be grabbing your questions from chat, as long as you do what it says in the box down there. Put question colon before your question to have them added. It's Q&A that happens in the second half of the stream. That doesn't mean you can ask the questions at any time. I will get to them. Yeah, as long as you do the question colon thing, they will go in this document that I'm looking at right here that has no questions in it, but has room for all the questions. So as I'm talking, if you have a question that comes up, even if you think I'm going to address it, maybe I'll forget, and maybe you'll forget. So just question colon it in the chat, and then we'll make sure it gets asked in the second half. Plus, sometimes people show up late, and that's okay. Everybody's schedule's different, and they might want to hear that answer later. It's all good. It's all good. Is that everything? I think that's everything. I think we can dive in and start now. So yeah. And we've got our first question. The questions don't, as seen in chat, questions don't have to be about the topic of today's show. I will address those questions first so that people watching the VOD later get the tutorial and then on-topic questions. But they can be off-topic, and I'll get to those too. So normally there aren't events running in the game, and normally your campaign map would look something like this. You know, Sword Coast or whatever campaign you're on, with time gates and Trials in Mount Tiamat. And at the top it would say Grand Tour of the Sword Coast. But whenever there's an event, the event gets top billing so that you know it's there. It doesn't get scrolled off, depending on your settings. I got a little scroll over here because I don't do this full screen. So, Dragondown. Dragondown is the event right now. When you click on the event, usually it takes... So, first off, events usually start... Well, almost always start Wednesdays at noon Pacifically, whenever their time is to roll around. And usually you have to restart your client to get all the stuff to show up. Give it a few minutes. If everybody restarts right at noon, bad things happen. But, you know, right around then, restart. You get Dragondown, you click on it. You'll get an adventure node. This time it's all the way up here. It's all the way up here. And when you click on it, you'll find 3 adventures. Each one's going to have the same name. It's just that it's going to be for a different champion. It's because at every event, there's going to be 3 champions that arrive in that event. There's going to be 2 from previous years. And then whatever the brand new hotness is that's getting released. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. Or at least that's the way it's worked since year 3. Since year 3. Yeah. So this is what it looks like. You will also see that, hey, there's new favor, and if you haven't started yet, the favor is going to be 0. That's because you're going to have to go earn it. Now, there aren't blessings for events. That would be kind of neat. But the point is the favor doesn't get spent. The favor is literally there just to help you power through the event. So it does its other function, which is provide boosted gold find when you're in a run, and that's great. So because events are basically little mini campaigns, they're easier to progress in. Like, you can make progress real quick. Enemies are easier to kill. They drop more gold. So you can get favor faster. And because favor is kind of the big stick that you beat the event with. You want to grab a bunch of favor. In the guides that I make on the subreddit, there is a chart that outlines the kind of favor you're looking for to make the different things easier for you. It's one of the rare places in the game where the rating system of, the difficulty system that shows the different colors and says, challenging, easy, like that kind of stuff. It actually applies to newer players there. So favor is a good thing. Grab what you can get. Yeah. There's also going to be this thing that says like a dragon. Well, in Dragondown it says Dragon Claws, but there's always going to be, for events, there's always going to be some kind of token here with a number. This is the event currency. This is your event currency. You have to use it to start stuff. So like if I want to do this free play for Celise, I have to spend 500 Dragon Claws. This is how they, this was their attempt to like limit the amount of power you get out of events. It worked real well for a number of years. And then gem farming became a thing, and now there's bounty contracts, and you can get hundreds of thousands of event tokens, and we'll talk about that too. But these event tokens drop once every 25 seconds, as long as you're killing things in game. If you're not killing things, it kind of keeps track on the server side, and then when you start killing things, it drops a lot of them so that you catch up real quick. So it is a time-based currency, which is why the aforementioned bounty contracts will give it to you, because they drop time-based rewards. Dragon Claws, there's no other way to really speed that up. It's just wait or pop bounty contracts. Speed potions don't help. Speed champions don't help. Multiple parties don't help. It is a server-side calculation, 1 every 25 seconds. Okay. Now, even if you're out of bounty contracts, don't worry. There will be enough of these accruing over the time of the event. Events last about 12 days. Over the time of the event for you to at least do all the stuff. And that's kind of the point. All right, so let's talk about each of these. So again, you get 3 champions. Each champion is going to have their own kind of formation layout, so it's almost like its own little separate mini campaign of its own. But all of the enemies that you deal with are going to be the same between all of these. So that's why it says Let Sleeping Dragons Lie, and it's the same thing. You're dealing with the same enemies and the same bosses. And maybe we should mention the boss for this event. The boss for this event is a dragon. It's a dragon. Shocker. Dragondown, Let Sleeping Dragons Lie. You're fighting a dragon. And it's kind of a pain when you're brand new. And by kind of a pain, I mean you're going to get to the boss and he's going to wreck your face. Probably. If you're new to the game. And that's okay. This is one of those events where the boss is real tough to deal with. And on your first run, you might have to just get to 50, get wrecked, back up to 49, and farm lots of gold for a while. It's one of those rare cases where, normally I'm like, maybe don't sit and farm a lot of gold just to try to get past one level. Well, maybe in this case, there's an exception to every rule. Maybe in this case, 15, 30 minutes of a little gold find, level up your champions, try the dragon again. If you fail again, and you're just on your unlock adventure, restart, complete it, take the favor that you just got. It will be a multiplier to your gold find, and do another run. Totally okay here. That's, as long as it's on those unlock adventures right now, that's just kind of how this event's going to work. Where you don't want to complete something before you finish something before you've actually met your area goal is in the variants, and we'll talk about that. So that's why you want to get a lot of favor as quickly as you can. Potions are your friend there. Maybe some gold find potions to help you to earn as much as you can to upgrade your champions. Yeah, this event more than ever has a very tough boss. So it also does mean that you're not, if you're used to pushing real hundreds and hundreds of levels, or maybe even over 1,000, it's going to be harder for you to deep push in this event because the boss is going to wreck your face. He's got an AoE. He hits the entire party. I got to a point where with the favor, I got a lot of favor, but with that favor, my stopping point was where on his first AoE, he one-shot all my squishies. Not a whole lot I can do at that point. I could try to get them some more health, but then they're just gonna die at the next boss, right? So there's a point where this you're just gonna have to be okay with having maybe a little less favor. Excuse me. Apologies. Or working a little, or doing more free plays to make up for it than you might normally do. Okay. So each speaking of deep pushes, again, each champion is going to have their own layout. Celise's is kind of rough. It's this strange 3 champion front line with these long columns. It makes it a little challenging. There's not a lot of adjacencies, and adjacencies are kind of a big deal in the meta right now, or I should just say with a lot of buff champions. Marrowin's is a kitty cat. It's actually a pretty solid formation. It does look a little odd. It looks like real strung out, but there's a lot of good adjacencies in here for placing your champions in different places. It's at least a little better. And then BBEG's is pretty good too. I wouldn't say there's one glorious formation for pushing, but I would say as long as you're doing either BBEGs or Marrowins, you're probably giving yourself the best chance of pushing really deep. Right. So the first time around, these won't say free play. It'll just be the unlock adventure, and the reward will be the champion itself. So I usually target those. I have a new player count I've been playing through, and I just do those unlock adventures first. I push as far as I can on each one to get as much favor as I can to make the variants easy. Once you complete it, then that adventure turns into a free play, and it will reveal all of the variants. Right? Every champion gets 3 variants. That's actually just how the game works, too, is every adventure ultimately will have 3 variants for it. Once you complete that, that doesn't mean it's time to dive right into the variants, unless they all, like for mine do, already show as green and say easy. That's really the goal. I highly, highly recommend not attempting to do these variants until they show as easy. The reason is variants in the game come with restrictions. Like, so the free play says no restrictions, but the variant, wallow text restrictions, right? These are things that make it more difficult for you to push deep and complete the adventure. That's the challenge. That's what makes this game a puzzle game. You're trying to solve this puzzle that has been created with these restrictions, using the champions as your puzzle pieces. So, if these don't show as green, then what you want to do is just hop into one of these free plays again. Try to push deep. The first free play is going to cost 500 tokens. Every free play after that costs 500 more until you get to a cap of 2,500 tokens. So 2,500 Dragon Claws this time around. And then it's just always going to be 2,500. Okay. Now the reward here, though, and one of the other reasons, along with favor, Joaquin Phoenix's favor, is that you get a random chest. It's either going to be a silver chest or a gold chest for the champion whose free play you ran. So that's how you get extra gear for your champions. The variants themselves are going to reward you a gold chest. I already got them, so it doesn't show it, but it would be a guaranteed gold chest. So you're guaranteed 3 gold chests. And then you do free plays to get the rest, the silvers and more silver, or just silver's been period, and more golds. Okay. Every free play that you do has a chance to get a gold chest. The chance is 1 in 3, so 33%. Repeating whatever you want to say. 33% chance, roughly, to get a gold chest. But if you don't get one in 3 free plays for the same champion, Codename Entertainment has been kind enough to add a pity timer, so bad luck protection, so that on that 4th run, you're guaranteed to get it. So with the worst possible luck, over 4 free plays at 2,500 tokens each, so spending 10,000 tokens, you're guaranteed 1 gold chest. And at worst luck, you'll have 3 silvers along with it. Okay? At best luck, you'll have 4 gold chests. It can go anywhere between that, right? RNG gonna RNG. This is important to note because for that 10,000 token cost, in the store, it lets you just buy 1 gold chest. And I would like to point out that's not what you want to do. You want to take the time to do the run. All you got to do is get to Area 50, kill the boss on Area 50. When you pick up the boss bag, then you can complete the adventure and you will get your reward. You don't got to push further. This isn't a time gate. Those are 2 different things. In events, you just got to complete Area 50 to get your reward. So super easy. You can do super easy runs once you've done all of this stuff. All you have to worry about is churning through your tokens and getting lots of gear for the champions that you want to gear up. So here we go. Let's talk about each of these variants. Now, again, variants have restrictions. There's going to be 3 variants for each champion, and they vary in the completion area and the cost. So completion area is 75 for the first one, 125 for the second, 175 for the third. Each one's going to cost a little bit more than the previous. The older years have a discounted cost, so 250, 625, 1250. The newest champion is full price. 1,000 Dragon Claws, 2,500, and 5,000. Okay. So it's not that they're charging more for them. It's that this is the original cost when we started this game, and it was just year 1. These were the costs for things. And then later on, they were like, oh, yeah, let's discount the prior years so that you can get more out of your tokens. So each one... I want to say that normally they are in ascending difficulty, but that's not true at all. It's really random. Sometimes the 1 to 75 is the most difficult one. Sometimes it's this one. Sometimes it depends. And you got to read the restriction to find out. So, stalwart supporters. Celise starts in the formation. She can be moved or removed. Only champions with a strength of 13 or higher can be used. The rest is just explanation about how Celise works. So, this means your big restriction here that's going to make things difficult is you only get champions with strength of 13 or higher. Those types of restrictions, if you can't build a full party, then what you want is just a little more favor. Like an order of magnitude more favor. That means EO1, because we use scientific notation in this house to make things easier. EO1 more favor per empty formation slot or per filler champion. Like if you already have a DPS champion and you add another pure DPS champion simply because you want to fill a formation slot, they're not really helping. So they're just kind of filler, and you might need some more favor. Again, favor helps you beat this kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. And again, please, make it easy on yourselves. Just wait until they show it's easy to do these. That's going to help you with the restrictions as well. So, tiers of tier. Again, Celise starts in the formation. She can be moved or removed. While in outdoor areas, rain falls, increasing the speed and attack damage of enemies by 100%. I kind of like that. Personally, I don't mind the attack damage 100%. I don't think that's a big deal. The speed just gets them to my formation quicker and makes me kill them quicker. It's like, sure. Okay. Champions' base attack cooldowns are increased by a second. That's a little rougher. It's going to slow down your ability to kill things, which means they are going to hit your formation probably before you kill them. Good idea to have like an AoE DPS or a multi-hit DPS, someone that can attack multiple targets at once. You know, like bam, 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 or sends out bursts of damage, you know. That way you can clear things off your tanks here. And it's also one of these things that people might not understand. When you increase your attack cooldown, it's going to affect your ultimate damage, because ultimate damage is based on Bud, base ultimate damage, and it's a factor of it's your actual damage per second times these modifiers on the ultimates. So when you're attacking 1 second slower, your damage per second is going down, and thus your ultimate damage is going down. So keep that in mind. Only champions with wisdom of 13 or higher can be used. So there's another restriction on top of that. So once again, you might have a more restricted formation. You might need some more favor. And when I say EO1 more favor, it's based off that chart that I put in my guides. It's usually EO8 to make this show as green, which I think is just the target you should shoot for before doing these. This one's like EO5 or 6, and this one's like E3 or something like that. Yeah. Check the guides for the full information. Whew. Sneezed. All right. The Endless Claws. This is a holiday formation. Wait, no, wrong. Wrong time of year. Celise starts in the formation. She can be moved or removed. Crawling claws appear in each area. They deal 200% additional damage. When a crawling claw is destroyed by anyone other than Celise, it immediately respawns and continues its attack. Great. This is what I like to call a swarm variant. Basically, they're trying to overwhelm you with enemies. Crawling claws do not count towards quest progress, nor do they drop any gold. Please keep in mind, Celise is a tank and not a DPS, so that means these are going to be coming at you a lot. Now, Celise does have some features that we'll talk about in a moment that might be able to wipe more of them out, but generally speaking, you're just going to have to deal with a bunch of these coming at you. Again, favor helps in the sense that you can over-level your champions, and over-leveling your tanks means you might hit their next health upgrade, which means they'll be able to deal with lots of crawling claws attacking them, right? All right, let's talk about Marrowin's variants. Marrowin starts in the formation... Oh, a neutral position, excuse me. Marrowin starts in the formation. She can be moved, but not removed. It's because they want you... If it sounds like I'm repeating myself a lot, it's because they want you to use these champions to get to know how to use them, like to understand them. And each variant is usually targeted at teaching you a different thing about their ability set. So only neutral champions on the good and evil axis can deal damage. So there are two axes in D&D. There's the good and evil and the lawful and chaotic, and each one has a middle that's neutral. So there can be two kinds of neutral. Specifically, Merilwen wants you to be on the good-evil side. So where it says neutral, lawful, or neutral, chaotic, or just neutral, Marrowin is good, buffing that kind of DPS champion. So that means if you're using a champion that says good or evil as your DPS, Marrowin doesn't buff them. So this is a formation building queue. You need to make sure that you're putting Marrowin in with the right kind of champion. So that's it. That's the restriction here. You just need to make sure you're using a neutral DPS. I want to say Ashara. Is a neutral. Isn't she like lawful neutral? Can't check right now. Try that. Probably. Next one, Catnap. Marrowin starts in the formation. She can be moved but not removed. Champion's normal attack cooldowns are increased by 3 seconds. Again, problematic because you're going to be killing things slower, and your ultimate damage is going to be lower. Just right off the bat, that's what we know by that sentence. Marrowin's Wild Shape ability starts out unlocked and offers an additional bonus to attack speed cooldowns. We're going to talk about her abilities, but she can speed up your attack speed if she's adjacent to the DPS. So they're giving you a restriction and then letting Marrowin help you overcome it. This is going to be a little slower to clear because early on in a run, everyone is killing things, and now they're not going to be because they're going to be attacking slower. So just know it's going to take a little longer usually to get through this one, but as long as you put Marrowin next to your DPS, you should be okay. Loyal Friends. Marrowin starts in the formation. She can be moved but not removed. Only champions with an affiliation may be used. And Oxventure's champions specifically do 400% more damage. That's because Marrowin is a member of the Oxventure's affiliation. Affiliations are a tag in the game. There's a lot of affiliations out there, but not every champion is in an affiliation. So again, this is a restriction, and one you're going to have to be aware of. Celise is part of an affiliation. Marrowin is, so there's 2 champions you've got available. BBEG is not, though. So you just have to check the tags and see what's going on. But obviously this is rewarding you if you've got some Oxventures, especially one of their DPS champion. And more DPS is nice. Marrowin's ultimate starts unlocked and its cooldown takes half as long, so they kind of want you to spam her ultimate here. And it's fun, so why not? BBEG. Let's talk about Roll for Initiative. The restrictions in the name, folks. BBG starts in the formation and can be moved but not removed. You may only use BBEG and or champions with an intelligence of 12 or lower. This is because BBEG only buffs champions with an intelligence of 12 or lower. So they're basically trying to teach you how to build a formation with BBEG. And spoiler alert, you're going to want to learn because BBEG OP. Herding Cats. BBG starts the formation, can be moved but not removed. Every second, a cat spawns. Yeah, you heard that right. And moves towards a random champion. Folks, every second. There's so many cats on the screen in this variant. So many cats. When the cat reaches the champion, they're stunned for 3 seconds. Great. Because of overwhelming cuteness. Makes sense. The cats can't be attacked. It could also be allergies. Stunned champions cannot attack, but their formation abilities remain enabled. So how are you supposed to kill things is probably the question, because there's constant cats, and there's constant stuns. And the thing is BBEG, we're going to talk about the abilities, but they spawn zombies, and the zombies walk across the field of combat and do damage to things. This is a variant where they just want you to kill things with the zombies. It's going to be a little slow. It's going to be weird. It's going to be odd. You need a lot of damage because the zombies do bud-based damage, so you just kind of have to deal with it. There's going to be a lot of stuff on the screen. There's going to be zombies and cats. It's wild. It was me all along. This is where I was hoping we would get one of these when they did the Scooby-Doo crossover. But I don't think that's ever happening. So BBG starts at a formation, can be moved but not removed. You may only use lawful champions, evil champions, or champions with a total ability score of 78 or less. I know that's a lot of different kinds of champions. So not as restrictive as you might think. The thing here is that's how their specialization works. They buff either based on the number of lawful champions, evil champions, or champions with a total ability score of 78 or less. You really want it. You're going to pick the specialization with the highest number. Sort of. No, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, because they've got a multiplier, so it depends. It depends. I don't know why I woke up wanting to sneeze and getting a head cold, but here we are. That's what we're living in. So yeah, all of these pretty straightforward. Again, please make sure they show as green, and you should be able to do them no problem. Should be able to. If you're ever looking at a restriction in an event, and you're like, that one might be a little challenging, and it's one where they're restricting out, like you have a very restrictive type of scenario you can do, like in the types of champions you can use, hop in a free play and build a formation that matches those restrictions, and then see how far it can go. If you can get past the goal area, and it's the only real restriction, then you're good. If you can't, then you just switch the formation to a regular pushing formation and push and get more favor, and then do another free play and try it again. It's real easy, Feel free, in events, feel free to just try it out in a free play first. Because at least you can switch it up and then push deep. In a variant, you're not going to be able to. And in variants, you don't want to push. You don't even want to attempt to try to push for favor in variants. You just want to get to the goal and then get out, because they're rough. All right, let's hop in and talk about the champions. We'll go into a BBEG free play. Get out of here, Bruner. It's not your season yet. All right. Celise, slot 12. Celise all the way. Oh, here. Click. Boom. Maybe I should... Hold on. And then let's go. Let's slow this down a little bit. There we go. All right. Celise, slot 12. Marrowin. 3, 2. Slot 2. All right. We got a lot of champions in the game. I don't always remember exactly. And then BBEG is in 3. Boom. Okay. There's our 3 champions for this event. Okay. So. I hate it when it's not like... when they don't look like they're in a good lineup. Alright. Just me being picky. Let's talk about Celise first. Celise, part of the Rivals of Waterdeep affiliation. This is what an affiliation tag will look like. And when you hover over it, you'll get the other champions. You'll get to see the other champions in the affiliation. This is a full affiliation in the game. So they are all here and all ready to help you in your party. Female human paladin of tier, lawful neutral. So here's what we were talking about earlier, where you want to see good or evil. This one, if Celise was a DPS, this would qualify for Marrowin. That's what you're looking for. Tanking and support. Her overwhelm starts at 15, which is not very overwhelming. This basically is the number where once more than this number of enemies are attacking you, you start taking extra damage. So usually the higher number is better. She's got ways to raise this, but base, it's not super high. But we'll talk about that. Her basic attack will change. Because Celise has a stance mechanic. It's attached to her ultimate. I like to refer to it as Stance Revolution. Look. Don't judge me. So let me pull up here. She has 4 different types of stances, and they switch based off the ultimate button. It's not an ultimate. It's just her stance shift button. She has a different kind of built-in up ultimate. We'll talk about it. So, if she is in her aggressive stance... she bashes the enemy before attacking them, stunning them for 2 seconds. And if she does this to a hit or armor-based enemies, so those segmented health enemies with the chunks, they take 2 hits. In her wall stance, she could take 25%. She just has a regular attack where she leaps out and attacks the nearest enemy. But she takes 25% less damage for all attacks for the next 10 seconds. After she gets her basic attack in. So basically, as long as she's constantly attacking, she's in wall stance, she's constantly in a damage reduction mode. Deflect stance, when she leaps out and attacks the nearest enemy, it damages all enemies in an AoE if her reflective shield is chosen, and she gains 1 charge of deflection for each enemy hit. And that charge of deflection feeds into some other stuff that we'll talk about in a bit. And then her last resort stance, that is the last stance. That's her 4th one. She damages and knocks back all enemies in a small AoE. So it's basically get off me, punk. That's what she does in last resort. Again, the ultimate is basically just your stance switching button, and it's basically on a 5-second cooldown. That's it. You can hit it every 5 seconds. No, it doesn't count for using your ultimate for patron challenges. Because it's not an ultimate. It's just a stance button. It's a stance rotation button. All right. Everything about her kit builds off this idea of these 4 stances. So, Celise, if you can't tell yet, she is a kind of a more active play champion. To get the best out of Celise, you're going to want to be at the keyboard playing and adjusting things as you deal with different situations. She's not really... You can just kind of cruise AFK with her, but she's going to have, kind of moderate effect and not really bring everything to the table. So, Divine Sense is the first ability. It increases the damage of champions in the 2 columns behind her. So there's your formation building queue. She's only buffing 2 columns back. Okay. When in an aggressive stance, when the different stances give different bonuses along with that. In aggressive, champions affected by Divine Sense have their base attack cooldowns reduced by a half a second. So that means you're being aggressive and you're attacking more. In wall stance, champions in the same column as Celise take less damage from melee attacks. So in a situation like this where there's 2 champion frontline, then if she were in wall stance, if I switch to wall, that's what wall looks like. There's a little indicator. Marrowin's going to take 25% less damage at base. There's ways to modify this shenanigans. In deflect stance, champions affected by Divine Sense take 25% less damage from ranged and magical attacks. So she can switch it up again. Well, we got to switch areas. She could switch it up again, and instead of protecting herself and the tank column, she protects everyone in the 2 columns behind her in the basic situation, and helps them take less damage from ranged and magical attacks. This is great for, I don't know, this dragon I was telling you about that likes to AoE your whole party. Seriously. This makes your party take less damage if you're in deflect stance, and as long as they're covered by divine sense. Now again, divine sense is 2 columns. We can extend that with a specialization. We'll talk about when we get there. In the last resort, say Selise's overwhelm point is increased by 15, so that's when she gets into full tankiness mode just for herself. Then her overwhelm becomes 30, and her vow of vengeance ability is increased by 200%, which is we'll talk about that ability in a bit. So an even higher buff going on as well. The base damage buff has been increased by will be increased by 100% for each other Rivals of Waterdeep champion in the formation. So if you're running a full Rivals formation, she buffs more. All right. Now, as we talk about some of these other abilities, they are going to affect only, in some cases, only when you're in a certain stance. So again, she's a very kind of what I would call crunchy champion. There's a lot going on here that you have to understand. So Shield of Psychomancy. When in an aggressive stance, Celise will toss her shield in an arc, targeted at the furthest enemy on every 4th attack. It deals damage and stuns all enemies hit for 2 seconds. The effect of Divine Sense is increased by an amount for each enemy that's hit. It stacks additively until she attacks with the shield again or changes stances. So if you're just sitting in an aggressive stance, let's get her back to that. There's Last Resort. Last Resort is the Lightning Bolt. And it's when it's charged like this, one of her other abilities is about to fire. That's what it's telling you. Okay. So we're an aggressive. So if we're an aggressive like this, and there goes her shield, it's kind of a Captain America thing. So until she throws it again, she's buffing based off the number of enemies that she hit. So it's a fun little thing. When you've got a lot of enemies building up, she could throw it through a whole wave of them, and you get a big buff that's going to help you clear things out. Okay. Vow of Vengeance. So when she's not in aggressive stance, which means all the other stances, she increases the effect of Divine Sense by an amount for each enemy attacking her. So when not in aggressive stance, so when not on the offense, she goes into defensive mode and buffs based off how she's being attacked, how many people are attacking her. That's a more standard tank buff. It's what we call like a ramping tape enemy buff. Standard tank fare. The more enemies on the screen, the more she's going to buff the party. Yada yada. Thunderous Smite. This was that charged lightning bolt, and this is actually her ultimate. It's just built into the kit on a timer because her ultimate button is used to switch stances. So Thunderous Smite, when switching from Last Resort to aggressive stance. So Last Resort being the lightning bolt, the charged lightning bolt means Thunderous Smite is ready. Celise channels the divine power of Tyr and attacks a random enemy with her sword, dealing Bud-based AoE damage and Bud-based chained lightning damage from the enemies struck to 5 nearby enemies. This can only trigger once every 180 seconds. So, it's kind of just an automatically charging ultimate in the background, and if you're rotating through the stances regularly, it will go off, at best, every 180 seconds. This is keyed to her achievement. So you need to know to get her achievement, you need to be rotating through stances. It's going to be a long, slow grind. It's one of those achievements that's just use Celise a lot while switching stances, and eventually you'll get it. But you actually have to be killing things with Bud. So it's going to take a long time to get unless you create a situation like build a formation and sit on a level where only her ultimate kills things, which can be challenging to get to, and then park a familiar and wait. Like, that could be how you do it. Otherwise, just use Celise a lot. It'll get it eventually. Specialization. Celise has 2 specialization choices, but what she's doing is picking out of a group of 4. So the 3 you see here are 3 out of the 4. We're going to pick one. The 2 that we didn't pick will show up in her second set along with another one. Okay? So, Relentless Avenger, Reflective Shield, and Mithril Skin. Relentless Avenger, when in wall stance, so only when in wall stance, Celise can't be stunned. Any enemies that attempts to stun them is then stunned themselves for 4 seconds. So if you're dealing with, I don't know, a dragon that likes to stun your party or something, maybe this would be neat, because maybe then you stun the enemy instead, right? Reflective Shield, when you're in deflect stance, Celise can deflect projectiles back at the enemies that shot or cast them, because projectiles in this game means magic or ranged attacks. So when dealing with magic or ranged enemies, if they attack Celise, she says nuh-uh and throws it right back. Deals 6 damage of Bud, 6 seconds of Bud base damage. And then Mithril Skin is kind of a defensive one, full-on defense, while in last resort stance. Celise takes reduced damage the further her health falls below 80%. So all of these are stance-based. So you kind of have to know, well, where do I think I'm going to be in this adventure, and choose appropriately. I'm going to go Mithril Skin here, and then we're going to pull up her second set. So then Tyr's Eyes is the other one. This is the one that changes how her Divine Sense buffs. It increases the range to affect 3 columns instead of 2. Personally, I like to pick one of those first 3, and then I like to pretty much always go with Tyr's Eyes. I like her buffing as many people in the formation as possible, especially if I'm trying to sit in deflect stance and protect from ranged or magic. I can, especially in this formation, I can cover everyone. I can reduce the damage against this dragon in deflect stance. So that's not the sword. It's not the wall, and it didn't show the wall. It didn't show the wall. Dang it. It's sometimes it doesn't want to always recognize the switch. There we go. This shield one. That's deflect. So now everyone back here is protected from the dragon. That's the big deal. All right. Protect the party. This is her health share. All tanks have a health share feature. Hers has a little bonus. So increases the health of all other shapers by 25% of Celise's max health. This is increased by 5% for each other Rivals of Waterdeep champion in the formation. Added additively. So a solid buff to health for everyone. If you're running a Rivals formation, gonna be even healthier. Even healthier. Yeah. Alright, that's everything. Item-wise, she gets a pair of damage all champions items. She gets a health item, because tank. And then she has a Divine Sense ability buff, which is good, because that's her big thing. And then she's got Shield of Psychomancy. So that's specifically going to be this buff when she throws the shield. And then she's got Vow of Vengeance, which is the buff when she's not in aggressive stance. So she buffs everything. Has nothing related to ultimates, because guess what? She doesn't have an ultimate. Right? So she's hyper efficient with her itemization because everything helps you out, which is nice. Feat-wise, she's got a lot of options. Look at how long this list goes down, folks. She has a lot. There's a lot going on here. So we get damage all champions. We get health. We get reduce the cooldown of Thunderous Smite. This is effectively, because Thunderous Smite is the ultimate that's built into the kit, this reduces the timer. It's like having a cooldown reduction item. So if you are trying to grind out her achievement, this feat is going to be a big deal for you. Because it's going to reduce the time by 40% faster. It helps you fire off her ultimate that much quicker. Super nice. We get Divine Sense buffs, Shield of Psychomancy buffs, Vow of Vengeance buffs, Relentless Avenger. This is one of the specialization choices. You get Wisdom. The Wisdom helps her qualify for Narak's Githzerai Focus. That's where that shenaniganry comes in. We'll talk about that in a bit. We get Overwhelm. And right now, During feat week, she's got a feat coming up that adds 20 to her overwhelm. 20. She's already got a 5 and a 10. So we can already take her up by 15, which would take her from the base 15 to 30. And then when she adds 15 from being in last resort, that's 45. This would take her to 65 overwhelm, which is maybe a little too much overwhelm. Maybe a little too much. So you would want to mix some of this with, like, you maybe want to throw this in with some health and then some buffing. But she can get real defensive now, which is great, because originally she didn't have a lot of tanking feats. Now she's got a lot of tanking feats. It's real nice. So make sure you're picking this stuff up this week, folks. Get your feats here. Phrasing. Yeah, so a lot going on here in terms of feats with Celise. Next up, Marrowin. When? Now. Meryl now. Marrowin is part of the Oxventures Guild affiliation. Again, another full affiliation in the game. So all of these champions are available for you to collect and use together as a group. Now my eyes are watering. What is going on with me today? I'm melting! Female Wood Elf Druid, neutral. This is what sometimes is referred as true neutral. This is neutral on both axes. So neutral on the good and evil and neutral on the lawful chaotic. Support and gold. Yeah. Basic attack, even though she's got a bow, her basic attack is magic. You can tell here by the little magic icon. Poison spray. She attacks a random enemy with a magical spray of poison. You know, because why not? A neutral party is the primary buff that everything is built around. Marrow increases the damage of all neutral champions in the formation. So she doesn't have to be in front, behind, adjacent. It's just everybody gets it for that part. Liquidity. This is the gold find buff. Merilwen increases gold find by 100% for each Oxventures Guild champion in the formation, and it stacks multiplicatively. That's the good way. So a full formation produces a lot of gold if you're trying to push with an Oxventures formation, for fun and money. But just make, if you're using if you want to use her in Azaka farming, just make sure there's one other champion, usually Rust at least, because Rust is also a big gold find champion in the Oxventures group. The two of them together do great things for gold find and Azaka farming. Wild shape. So this is where this is her formation placement cue. So earlier I said she wants to be adjacent to the DPS. Wild shape is why. At the start of each non-boss area, Marrowin takes on the form of a wild cat. She no longer makes normal attacks, but the attack speed cooldown of every adjacent champion is reduced by ½ second. If there are ever 15 or more enemies on the screen, she transforms back to her normal form and starts attacking until the party switches areas. So, great. I'm on a boss area. Then I would then switch to a boss area. Here's what she looks like. Look, she's a kitty. She's a kitty. So when she's a kitty, this is when she's buffing attack speed. You would put her next to the champion. So normally I'm at 6-second attack cooldown on Celise, and now I'm at 5.5 because she's next to Marrowin. That's how it works. That's how the kitty feature works. That's her wild shape. Punishing puns. While in her elf form, she boosts a neutral party by a value for each enemy on the screen. So this is, remember how I said tanks get a buff that's based off the number of enemies attacking them? Sometimes supports get a buff that are just based off the number of enemies that are in a screen. So this is the buff that gets better the harder things get, which is nice. They're giving you more damage when you need it. That's kind of what you want. So yeah, but this does stack additively, not multiplicatively. So it's not overpowered, but it is nice. All right, specializations. I find her specializations are probably some of the. This is what I want to see in specializations. They attack situations. It's not just, hey, we're gonna buff numbers based off numbers, which we'll get to. It's about situations. So I think Marrowin and Celise have good situational specialization choices. Stink like skunk. Marrowin's normal attacks make hit enemies stink like a skunk, and they take a 2.5 seconds of bud damage every second for 5 seconds. This is a bud. This makes her a bud. Her attacks to have a bud based dot. That's where I was going with that. This is great. It's especially great when you're dealing with segmented health champions, so hit-based or armored enemies, because it makes her become effectively a secondary DPS to take those chunks off. Bud-based dots like this are fantastic. I wish they would change all the dots in this game on champions over to bud-based dots, because they're the best. So if you're dealing with lots of segmented health enemies, Stink Like Skunk is going to help you kill them faster. Treasures Her Friends is the gold find, so Marrowin gains an encouragement stack each second that an enemy is not defeated. So the longer it takes to kill something, the more stacks you're going to get. This caps at 300 stacks, so 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time to sit on an enemy, but this is fantastic for Azaka farming. But yeah, for each encouragement stack, the gold find of liquidity increased by 100%, stacking additively. When an enemy is defeated or the party changes areas, the stacks are reset to 0. So the longer it takes to kill something, the more gold you get off what you're killing. This is great up to a point, right? It's great for newer players because as things get harder, you make more money. As you make more money, you can upgrade your champions more, which gives them more power, which lets you push further. This is why Gold Find is a great snowball type of choice early on. So this is, if you get her and you're newer, this is a great way to make more money. And it also comes in handy later on. You would choose one of the others for deeper pushes when you're soft capping your champions and they don't need gold anymore. But then it comes back huge in Azaka farming, where an enemy is sitting there not killed forever and you're just farming it. You're bullying it for its lunch money and not killing it. Merilwen, Marrowin's wild shape attack speed cooldown reduction is increased by 1 second, so it goes from 0.5 second to 1.5 seconds. That's nice. And persists when she's in her elf form. So it means she's always going to be... You're going to want her next to your DPS champion because she's always going to be making them attack faster. You're also going to want to then place her next to any on-hit debuffers. That's like Freely, Krull, or Kira. Champions like that do things based off marking enemies. Caddy Bree, Korth. All of these champions need to hit enemies and mark them with debuffs. Those all then want to be adjacent to Merilwen. Right, we'll actually go with that one. In this situation, just for fun, even though it's not doing anything at the moment. The ultimate. Let's talk about Marrowin's ultimate. Marrowin's ultimate is called Marrowin's Meat Grinder, and it's everything you can imagine from the name. Stone spikes come out of the ground with a 30-second duration. Enemies take massive damage over time while in the area. This is what it looks like. It's basically like, hi, time to grind up all of the meat. It's just spiky, grindy, messy stuff. Now, here's the thing about Marrowin. Her meat grinder gets bonus effects that based off other champions from her affiliation being in the party. If Corazon is in the party, enemies affected by grease that are also in the spike area take an extra 200% damage from all sources. If Prudence is in the party, when you fire off the ultimate, Prudence's glee stacks get maxed out. That's one of her buffs that makes her do more damage. So she's like, oh, we're killing now. Yes. When Rust is in the party, Gold Find gets increased by 1,000% for 30 seconds. So firing off that ultimate makes you earn more money. When Daub is in the party, it increases the number of deposit stacks by 1%, rounding up. Minimum 1 stack. Deposit is a stacking buff that Daub builds up that makes everything better. And when Egbert's in the party, their Atone for the Past is buffed by 1,000%. So again, when the meat grinder goes off, that means it's time to kill. So those are, keep in mind, those are bonus effects that come up, but only when other Oxventurers groups are in the party, and that's when you fire the ultimate off. Item-wise, we get damage all champions, only one of those items, because then we have a lot of other ability ones. We get a neutral party item, we get a liquidity, that's the gold find item. So if you want to make a lot of gold, that's the one that you're hoping ramps up. Punishing puns, then the ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown reduction, because of course you want it to just obliterate people, and you want to do it as much as possible, right? Feat-wise, damage all champions, that's core to support kits. You get another half a second on attack speed if you want it with this feat. Now, if I'm in the spec that I'm in right now with another second, that means you can shave 2 seconds, just 2 flat seconds, off of adjacent champions' attack speed. You can really go all in on attack speed. And remember, because Bud, which powers your ultimates, is a function of damage per second, if you're doing the same damage but at a lower attack speed, your Bud's higher, and your ultimates are going to do more damage. Okay? Keep that in mind. So if you want to use ultimate, if you want to be using ultimate or Bud-based dots for damage, cooldown reduction helps. Neutral party buffs, liquidity buffs. This one should have this same gold icon. I don't know why it does. They got it right on one of them. Punishing puns, and then charisma +2. That means that with that slotted, you would be able to do Zerial, patron Zerial stuff with Marrowin. All right, let's talk about the BBEG, the big bad evil guy at the end of every campaign. BBEG comes to us. I know it says no affiliation, but BBEG comes to us from the One for All series of streams. That's the affiliation that we just got 3 champions for. That's Ontrius, Nixie, and Avandra. BBEG is not part of their affiliation because he's their antagonist. But BBEG is adjacent to them, and things happen if they're in your party. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Male drow wizard in this incarnation. This is an earlier incarnation where they're wizard. Currently, I think, and they said in their lore as they're moving through their stories, that he's a full-on lich now. But right now, wizard, alive wizard, lawful evil, support and speed champion. So, yeah. Basic attack is chill touch. BBG conjures a spectral hand over the enemy with the most health and touches it, dealing 1 hit. Sure. This level 0 is now being referred to as a passive ability. So if you ever see level 0, these are passives that are always functioning. Awful Nemesis. As the sworn enemy of the Awful Ones, BBEG is eligible for any adventure that any of them are eligible for. However, they still don't remember who he is. That's a just joke. They never know. Every time he shows up, they're like, who are you again? Yeah. So they can go anywhere that an Awful Ones can go. Some things are kind of breaking. I feel like this, the way this currently works is that he can go in any of those adventures, even if you don't own them, is what I'm being told, which feels like a bug. It feels like you should have to have that champion, but apparently not. So BBG can go in lots of stuff right now, even if you don't have the Awful Ones. A little weird, but that's the way it's currently functioning. Evil Overlord. They increase the damage of all champions with an intelligence of 12 or less. That's what we talked about before. This is their primary buff. So you only want to put them in a formation with a DPS champion with an intelligence of 12 or less. Okay. Homebrew. Hey, look, we're getting meta with this. This is a fourth wall breaking champion because it's the BBEG run by the DM, right? Homebrew. BBG increases the damage bonus of Evil Overlord by 100% for each active potion, and it stacks multiplicatively. That's the good way. All right. This is a big deal. This is they're like, hey, we want you to use up all those potions you have, Gaarawarr. Right? Now look, stop calling me out. Just because I got like 10,000 potions saved up. Yeah, so each active potion, that means all this stuff. All this stuff. Right now, I should be getting 1 from this gem bonus potion. Let me go verify. Yes. So right now I have 1 active potion. I'm getting 100%. Oops. Now, but if I fire off another potion, like I'm just going to throw off a small one of these, now I have 2 potions active. 2! Ha ha ha. And now I've stacked multiplicatively. Now I'm getting the nice multiplicative bonus. So additively would have just made the bonus 200. Multiplicatively, it's 300. It's higher. And it's just going to keep multiplying. So BBEG likes you to have full stacks of potions. The normal potions, that means you can have up to 20, right? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 20 stacks. But technically, if you were using all these others, it would be 24. I wouldn't worry about these so much. Just focus on these. 20 multiplicative stacks. That's nice. That's nice. Now, if you were to, say, pop another one of these, like, say, use another one, right? And now your duration extended, you still only have 2 potions active. I want to be very clear. Because when you use multiple of the same type, that are these smaller ones, you can't use multiples of these or these. But if you use multiples of these smaller ones, it just extends the duration. It doesn't create another active potion. I want to be clear. Think of it as they are in a queue. The first 5-minute one is going to be active first. When it is no longer active, the second 5-minute one will be active. Okay? So, no matter how many times you push this button, the most you can get out of these 4 different unique levels of 5 different potions is 20. Okay, so homebrew, pretty cool ability, multiplicative stacking. That's the strong way. It also has item support, but I believe it's post-stack item support. We'll double check once I get some items. We're going to gear up BBG Live here in a bit. All right, specializations, power gaming, min-maxing, and rules lawyering. D&D players are getting called out right now, live. All of these are buffs to Evil Overlord. They all stack multiplicatively. And that's the good way, right? They have different values for the bonus. So even though, this is why I had to check myself, even though there is a number down here and they're counting how many champions qualify, I want to be very clear, because there's different values of bonus. 200% for power gaming, 100 for 50%, and 100. You need to actually do the math. The only case where you wouldn't do the math is in a stupid formation like this one, where it's a 1, a 1, and a 2, in which case you'd go with the 2. But in a real formation, you're going to have to do the math. I'm sorry. They should do it for you instead of giving you these numbers. They should just tell you, hey, this would provide this buff. This would provide this buff. This would provide this buff. They don't. Okay, so you're going to have to do the math here. So, for power gaming, it's based off the number of evil champions in your formation, and it's a 200% buff per evil champion, multiplicatively stacking. For min-maxing, it's champions with a total ability score of 78 or less, and it's 150%. And then for rules lawyering, it's lawful champions, and it's 100%. Okay. I'm just going to pick this one for now, just because it's the bigger number, and I'm trying to demonstrate it would be the biggest buff, because it's the only multiplicative one we get. All right. Now we get to rise my minions. So level 200 is where BBEG starts creating zombies. Every 10 seconds, BBEG creates a plodding zombie that appears in front of the party and slowly plods forward across the screen until it walks off the screen. Zombies persist with area changes, so they stay on the field and they move with you. Enemies near the zombie take 0.2 seconds worth of bud damage per second. And near the zombies is in this little circle that you see of like miasma. Once that gets in range, those zombies kill things. Like it just did with that bunny rabbit. It just did with those, right? Once they're gone off the screen, they're gone. So right now, at once every 10 seconds, you're going to have 3-ish zombies on the screen because it takes 30 seconds for them to walk across the screen. Okay. Sources of corpses. Here's what makes BBEG OP, and it's based off Rise My Minions. The time it takes for Rise My Minions to summon a zombie is reduced by 2.5 seconds for each Awful Ones affiliation member in the formation. So this is where I said they kind of work well with having Awful Ones in their group. That's the affiliation of Antris, Nixie, and Evandra. And this is the OP part. The damage bonus of Evil Overlord is increased by 25% for each summoned zombie, stacking multiplicatively. Multiplicative is the good way, but here's the broken part. With buffs applying to the pre-stack values. So this has item support. So this 25% can get ramped up through the moon with an item and putting lots and lots and lots of item levels. Average players are going to see a very, very strong champion. A gearless BBEG is a very strong champion. Geared up, stronger. If you can put 1,000 or more item levels in them, outrageous. Outrageous buffs because of this. It does require at least another Awful Ones person in the party. It's going to be best, they like a lot of them, but here's the thing. Antris from the Awful Ones is currently OP as well. They have a multiplicative pre-stack bonus as well. So the two of those in a meta formation going to get you lots of zombies on the screen and lots of buffs. Lots of buffs. Railroad. If the current area, this is their speed ability, if the current area is completed in 5 seconds or less, BBEG reduces the next area's quest requirements by 25%. So this is about quickly, as long as you're in a speed party, you're quickly nailing, chewing through areas, the quest requirements are going to go down 25%. They are in a slot competitively with another speed champion who has a buff, who has the same kind of area reduction. At a higher base value and with a feat that can make it go higher. However, BBG does also have a feat that's available currently. It's part of a cash slot purchase, but that means you can get it for 50,000 gems. It doubles this and makes it 50%. That's better than Nahara. So with the feat, better than Nahara. Without the feat, not as good as Nahara. But speed is speed. And when you can't use one, you can use the other, and that's fantastic. All right. Let's talk about the ultimate. So before, Gaarawarr, sure, multiplicative pre-stack values, but there aren't that many zombies on the screen. And yeah, we get one more is going to make, a 2.5 second reduction. Big deal. Balgranus Undead Horde. Balgranus symbol appears in the air for 30 seconds while the symbol is in the air. Every time Rise My Minion summons a zombie, it summons 2 instead of 1. It's basically a it's time to do more damage button. Now, there is a point during this where you will have maximum zombies on the screen, so it's going to ramp up. You're going to have maximum zombie damage, and then it's going to ramp down, but that's fine. You're going to have maximum party damage, and then it's going to ramp down, but that's fine, because the ramp up is going to make your buds super high. And then all these zombies are going to be doing that high bud-based damage, as well as all your ultimates and anyone else that does bud-based damage. So this is kind of a big deal. You want this up as much as possible. We're going to skip items for a second. We'll come back to that because we're going to gear out BBEG. Feats. Damage all champions. Evil Overlord. Homebrew. Sources of corpses. This was a free one this week in Feat Week. That's the broken abilities, so of course you slot that. Gaarawarr, come on. And then more of the same things. And then there's Rise My Minions buff. Here's the Railroad one I was talking about. Here's the one that's 40% on their spec choices. And remember, their spec choices stack multiplicatively too. Charisma is basically Patron's Aerial. So lots of good feats. Let's talk itemization. So, if you're like me, and I know I am, your new event champion might have no gear on it. Well, Gaarawarr, and your question might be, Gaarawarr, what's the best way to gear up my champions? efficiently during this event when I have a brand new champion with no items. You have 3 kinds of chests available to you that affect an event champion. They're named silver chests that you get in the event. They're named gold chests that you get in the event. And Electrum chests. These are the 3 we're going to be talking about. There's also, there's some others. There's patron chests that they qualify for. There's potentially other weekend chests and things that they might be in a grouping of. You don't have those necessarily right away, but they are available to you. But any other kind of gold chest we're going to refer to as the same as this kind of gold chest. Electrums, silvers, golds. You want to open Electrums first. All of those Electrums from streams like this one, where we say, hey, copy paste a code into the cryptex, and you get an Electrum chest. You get a lot of these. This is how many I have accrued since the last event. I don't use them except during events for this express purpose. And then I store up all of my silvers and my golds. And you're probably going, oh my God, that's a lot of silvers and gold chests. This is what bounty contracts do for you folks. When I say those of us who have been around a little while save up all of our bounty contracts so that we can use them during events, this is why. It gives me lots and lots of event tokens. I can do lots and lots of free plays and get lots of chests to get extra gear. You're not going to get this many right away, but know that that's the point. This is the point. This is why you run free plays with your tokens and you don't just go buy chests from the store. Okay. All right. So what's going to happen here is when I open, there are different rules for different chests. Electrum chests can drop gear for any champion that you own, and I have all 119. So why am I opening that first? It's because there's this auto rule for chests where they kind of all will prioritize to a certain degree dropping gear on champions that have none at all. So for a certain while, we're going to see all of my other champions have gear, and then BBEG has none. So what it does is it creates a situation where the Electrums are going to pour in here first until they kind of come up to a standard gear level, usually about greens, and then if a blue drops, they'll fill in blues too. But we want that first. We want to get that chance, that heightened chance to get gear from Electrums first, because if we start out with the others, then it's just a 1 in 119 chance that gear from Electrum is going to drop on BBEG instead of a almost guaranteed chance at the start. So if I open this up, if I just open one of them, I'm going to see, hey, the gear, BBEG. Hey, the gear, BBEG. If I did this after I had used silvers and golds, it would just be a random 1 in 119 chance. Okay. So open your Electrums first. Once you unlock all 3 champions, or up to 3, however many that are new to you, then pop all your Electrums, because that gear from Electrums will then get you up to blue gear. Look at that. I've got blues. I've got the blues, folks. I got 3 blues, a bunch of greens, a bunch of whites. That's great. Okay, and it's from a chest that I can get just from watching streams. And there's a Discord channel dedicated to codes, to chest codes. Join the official Discord, get all the codes, get gear. So I am in a mix of blue and green gear. That's fantastic. And I haven't even opened any chests that have BBG's name on them yet. You want to start with that. The goal here, opening Electrums and silvers for an average player, your goal is to try to get full green gear. If you get a smattering of blues, that's great, because both Electrums and silvers can drop up to blue, but blues are hard to come by. Okay, I only got blues because I had a lot of chests, and there was only one champion that it was going to. So the next goal, then, I open silvers. I wouldn't have to go to silvers here because I am at minimum green, but normally you would go silvers to make sure everything is... Oh, I got a shiny. Streamer luck. Oh, I don't know what that item is. I don't know what that item does. What is that? It doesn't tell me here. I got to go find out what that item. Oh, it's okay. It's ultimate cooldown reduction. That's fine. That means I'm going to be able to pop his ultimate faster. I was really hoping it was sources of corpses. But yay. Ultimate cooldown. I'm going to be able to hit that big damage button more often. But now, hey, look, I'm full blue. An average player, though, is trying to, like on my new player count, I'm just trying to get to full green with those silvers. Once I'm at full green, that's when I can open gold chests. And the reason is, a gold chest has a different rule. It will always provide an upgrade, but only to either green or blue. Only one of two. Green or blue. You can't guarantee. There's no way to guarantee get to gold. That's just RNG to get epic gear. Okay, to get the purples. You're going to get either green or blue. So by getting all your gear up to green first, you're guaranteeing that every time you open a gold chest, it's going to be a blue item. Almost did the wrong finger there. It's going to be a blue item, and you want the blues, right? So if I were at full green, I could have full blue in 6 chests. That's the most efficient way you can get to full blue. And full blue gear is basically the champion has come online. They've got solid power. Full purple is long term. If you can do it right away, like I'm about to, that's great. But if you can't, it's okay. Getting to full blue should be your goal, right? There's all the epics. Yay. Okay, full blue is the first goal. And you can do that pretty easily during an event. By the time an event is done, if you are newer, you should have full blue, hopefully full blue on all your champions, and at least 1 epic. There are enough tokens to get you to the pity timer for each champion and get at least 1 epic. So 5 blues, 1 epic is like kind of the minimum goal you're shooting for. Any epics you get above that are gravy. And if you can drop bounty contracts, you'll get even more. So item-wise, let's talk about items. Super itemization on BBEG. Straight into Evil Overlord. There isn't even a damage all champions item. Straight into Evil Overlord. Straight into Homebrew. Rise my minions. Sources of corpses. This is the OP one. This is the one you want to get gilded. Specialization choices and reducing the ultimate cooldown attack. Again, gilding this one is good because it lets you hit that button and feed into sources of corpses. So fantastic itemization on an already OP champion. BBG OP. All right, we ran a little longer. Oh well. I've got questions. I see about 16 questions queued up. We're going to take a short musical interlude with Celise's song called Soaking Away Regret from Bardic Inspiration. I'll be back to answer questions.
Time away from phone. Did some good things and the battles were no joke. Think I settled in for the night with a book and a nice long soul. Gonna doff my armor and hang up my clothes. Take some time to run a whetstone down my blade. Wash the stains from my plate and think of the choices I made. Raise a tear and I'll come to the end of this day. Need some downtime to soothe the nerves I've been free. Set that glass of whiskey down upon my sheet. Take a moment to recover and be healed. Tomorrow I'll be right shield. Take a moment to recover and be healed. Tomorrow I'll be right back out there fighting on the field. Well, tonight I'll raise my glass and drink tea. Sinking full and down, sliding back, walking memory lane, following my track. Those I lost, to those I must attack, remembering those that haunt me as I fade to black. Set that glass of whiskey down upon my sheet. Take a moment to recover and be healed. Tomorrow I'll be right back out there fighting on the field. But tonight I'll raise my glass. Tonight I'll raise my glass. Yeah, tonight I'll raise my glass and drink tea.
And we're back. And now captions are back. Okay. Let's dive in to the questions. I'm going to try to pull out the ones that are on topic first, and then we'll get into the general stuff. Lord Javex, which champion are you focusing in this event? I mean, on my main account, I only ever put gear on the newest champion because all the other champions are already fully epic and at my minimum item level floor that I make for myself. So BBEG. On my new player account, I think everyone is at blue, and I'm going to make sure they get their one epic, and then I'll dump everything else onto BBEG. BBEG OP. I mean, they are clearly an OP champion currently. And even if they changed the sources of corpses to buff post-stack, which I think would be more balanced, they'd still be a very strong champion because they have multiple multiplicatively stacking bonuses with item support. They're a very strong champion. Griegel, out of the 3 event formations, what formation would normally be the best, easiest for pushing? It's either going to be Merilwen's or BBEG's, and it's kind of up to you on which way you want to do that. Because some people need two tanks on the front line to really push deep. Some people have a single beefy tank, and that's the difference between the two formations. So figure out which one's best for you. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. TG Noobs, but how do the Dragondown characters interact with Justin's least favorite mechanic? Guess their eye focus. Yes, so, folks, there's a champion. I mentioned this earlier, and I figured somebody would ask a question when we get to this. There's a champion in the game called Narak. Narak's things. Shenaniganry. Narak creates shenaniganry, and it's all based off this ability, Githzerai Focus. It increases the potency of the formation abilities of adjacent champions that have a wisdom of 14 or higher, and it does it by a what seems like a small amount, but trust me, it's enough. It's enough. So if a champion has wisdom 14 and Celise has a feat for 14, BBEG is 14 automatically. Marrowin has it too. So all of these champions in Dragondown can be affected by Narak in various ways. For Celise, specifically, remember how Celise in Wall Stance has a 25% damage reduction for herself and anyone in her column for melee damage. Well, that's great. Now then we throw Narak in, And instead of 25%, I'm trying to get us over to that stance, and it's being real slow. It didn't even trigger that time. There we go. Okay. With Narakin, suddenly, Selise, here we go. Wall champions, well, right now, take 67% less damage from melee attacks. If I level Narak all the way up to cap, his bonus, gets the right bonus, keeps going up. This becomes over 100%, which means you take no damage from melee attacks. I call this other people have called this, and I've hopped on the Great Wall. Because as long as you're dealing with melee enemies, Narak buffing Celise means Celise and anybody in her column takes no damage from melee at all. Now remember, deflect reduces the damage in the same way from ranged and magical attacks to anyone that's affected by her divine sense, which means you can make everyone behind her in deflect stance with Narak take no damage from ranged and magical. It's a little OP. No, it's a lot OP, but only in a very few situations. I went hunting, because of course I did, and I looked for how many main campaign adventures are there where I'm only dealing with melee enemies, and I could only find one. It's in Baldur's Gate. So of course I went and did that with this. And I combined it with a permanent, an infinitely ramping damage, other set of shenaniganry. And I pushed forever. Super slow, but forever, because I could never die. So yeah, there are some more event things that have all melee, but in the regular campaigns I could only find one at the time. So there's some shenaniganry with Celise. Again, I don't have Narak leveled all the way up, but trust me, it gets over 100. It gets over 100. Now, with Marrowin, I'm next to Marrowin. With Marrowin, we can see, again, formation abilities are all their abilities that affect the formation. So a neutral party has been Narakified. Liquidity, the gold find, has gone up. Wild shape, we're now reducing attack speeds by 4 seconds. 4 seconds. If I move, I can't move. Here, let's do it this way. Because Celise started out as a 6-second attack thing. Now she's down to 1.97. So all of the bonuses, anything that is a formation ability, so something that affects the formation, not the enemies, the formation, is getting this bonus. Punishing Puns went up. The Meat Grinder doesn't go up because it's affecting enemies, really. But yeah, lots of changes here. There was a short-lived shenanigan with BBEG, where if you put Narak next to BBEG, it was a launch day thing only. It reduced the time delay between spawns down so that zombies were spawning every second. It was glorious. It was glorious. If you want to see what it looked like, you can go over to my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. Look for the VOD from Wednesday that's labeled Idle Chatter Event Guide Edition, because we made the event guide right on that day. Go towards the end of the thing, and you'll just see an endless stream of zombies. It was thriller time. It was thriller night. I expected Michael Jackson to hop out at any moment, because it was just I had 30. Normally, I had 30 zombies on the screen at all times. If I hit the ultimate, it went up to 60. It went up to 60. It was wonderful. They patched it out. However, BBEG is still going to get buffed by Narak. Evil Overlord will still get buffed. Homebrew will still get buffed. Rules Lawyering will still get buffed. The Sources of Corpses does not. Well, no, it's getting a little bit of buff here. It's just not, we're not getting the speed. You won't get the speed reduction. Like if we throw Nixie in to see the speed reduction for spawns, it's still going to sit at the 2.5 seconds. So this isn't getting modified anymore. But everything else is, and it's wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and throw all of the awful ones in the formation, just so we can get lots of zombies on the screen. Just so we can get lots of zombies on the screen. So yeah. The Narak does wild things. What I'm really looking forward to is Narak is actually a 12 int champion. Narak is a DPS. Narak has shenaniganry. Narak can be a solid DPS at soft cap, so higher level. I ran a Narak formation on Wednesday, and I pushed. That's how I got all this favor. I pushed a 1550 in the event, which is that's competitive for me. If it had been a normal thing and not Choten the Dragon, probably would have gone like my birdsong usually goes to like 1600. Pretty sure Narak could have gone there, and that was with BBEG with no gear. So I think Narak. This very well might be the rise of Narak DPS for me, but maybe for others as well. All because of BBEG. Imaginal Disc, ready for anything, which is the achievement. For Celise is going slow for me. Any advice on how to get through it faster? I kind of gave that earlier. Slot the feat if you have it. Otherwise, you have to uniquely find. You have to like build a situation where you get to a certain level where your party isn't killing enemies and only Celise's ultimate is. It takes a while to figure out, but if you just want to chew through it, that's how you do it. Then you sit on that level with a familiar on her ultimate, and then you go do something else. Otherwise, it's just use Celise a lot. TG Nubis, is BBEG the alchemy update? No. 919, why are you saving thousands of potions? It's not that I'm saving them, it's just that I have no reason to use them. I don't. You'll notice I haven't saved thousands of speed potions. I use those. Well, I've got 1,000 of these, but I burn through these fairly quickly. The rest of this stuff I don't really need it. I only pop a potion if I need it. BBEG now will give me damage bonuses. I might need to use more potions, but currently I don't need to use them, so I don't use them. My damage with my pushing parties is enough to usually allow me to complete what I need to complete without popping potions. And I'll only pop a potion if I'm in a very difficult variant or if I'm doing a deep push for favor. Like those regular potions. Extralix, yeah, something like that. It's close. Would it be a good idea to combine Dungeon Master, BBEG, Nixie, and Entreus in one formation? It's going to be the max gold find unless I can include Makos, but then my DPS drop. I don't know. That's going to be very situational. Because gear. Gear, if they've got gear that affects gold find, suddenly everything changes. I'm not sure why that would give you max gold find. I'll be honest. I don't think DM, BBG, Nixie, and Entreus give you max gold find. Yeah. Generally, what you're trying to do when you're building a formation is you're trying to push as far as possible. Ignore your gold find for the most part. I mean, when you're early on, you might want to choose things like if you're still using Jarlaxle DPS, you choose the gold find spec. If you're using Krull, you choose Pilfer. Like, there are certain specs you choose the gold find, but you don't necessarily build a formation to just have max gold find. You build a formation to push as deep as possible, because the ramping factor of how gold find goes up with related to the area you're on. If you can push further, you overpower the bonuses of the like having more damage tends to be able to get you to a point where you're making more gold than if you were further back with just a gold find formation. The only time you try to build specifically the highest gold find possible is if you're a Zaka farming. And no, I would not use that combination of champions in a Zaka farming. But yeah, but you're wanting to just try to make as much money on a run and deep push and get favor, generally speaking, without a Zaka, is just build the most powerful formation you can for pushing. Rough Rider, what's your average item level now for BBG after all of that? It's going to go up during the event. 180. It'll clear 200 by the time the event's over. I have no doubt about that. Lately, every event I do clears 200 for my newest champion. KSI, who's a better speed champion, BBEG or Nahara? It depends on what feats you have. Like, do you have, it's over here. If you did not see, we have to show off. BBEG is the clown. This is why that was our code today. It's the clown skin for BBEG. The feat that comes with this is Railroad 100%. So this doubles the effect of their speed ability. With this feat, which you can also get just for 50,000 gems instead of paying cash, with this feat, BBEG is better than Nahara. Without it, he's not. That's really what it comes down to. Rough Rider, how many zombies can you make with the ult and all the awful ones? So right now we've got what? Where's my sources of corpses? I've got 12 active zombies-ish. So that means I could get to 24. But only momentarily. Here you can watch as it goes up. It's going to tick up as the time goes on, as we're spawning new corpses. It should hit 24 or 25, and then it'll start ticking back down again. But that's all it takes for me to spike my bud effectively to get it up to a nice high level. And then those corpses are those zombies will start doing damage based off that higher bud for a while. Yeah, there's 23. We should see 24. There's 24. Yeah. Do we get a 25? No. It's starting to tick down. So yeah. Yep. Rough Rider, are you buying BBG's other feats? Other feats? Hold on, let me go look again. I mean, I will get all the feats eventually. I was gonna pop my gold chest. We're gonna talk about how to get bounty contracts. Rise my minions, sure, probably. I guess if I want to kill based off bud, that's what it would be. I mean, I'll get all of these eventually. The railroad is the big one, so I do want this one. I just haven't decided if I'm buying that skin or not yet. Even if I bought this with gems and then I went and bought the skin pack, it would refund me the gems. That's how it works. Otherwise, there's 4 gold chest feats. I'll get those momentarily. I don't know. I mean, I'll buy this eventually, but it's not super high priority. Not super high priority. So let me talk about that real quick. I wanted to talk about, I said bounty contracts are the things that get you lots of tokens, right? That's these. So it says claiming a bounty worth 4 hours of offline gold earnings also rewards event tokens if an event is running and it's based off 4 hours. I get all of these by spending my gems on these, on gold chests. So I did not loot 2,500 gold chests. I looted like 500 and then I bought 2,000 with gems. So I open about 2,500 gold chests. Well, usually almost exactly 2,500 gold chests. Every event, that's my goal that I try to target. Because that gets me to that. Oh, hey, shiny. That gets me to that point of getting every new event champion to around average item level 200 that I was talking about earlier. These are all of BBEG's feats. So now I have all the gold chest feats. That's the other reason I wait and I open these after I unlock the new champions, because I want all the feats too, right? Hey, a couple more shinies. Slow opening. Niscus, it's still faster than if I had tried to open them 50 at a time from before, so I don't even care. I don't even care. All right. So there we go. Now I've got a lot more feats over here for BBEG, and I only have to worry about these 3 for gems, right? So I would go here, and I would go homebrew, and I would go evil overlord, probably. To start, sure. Yeah. So I've got the 40%ers. Those are the big numbers. Except, if there was a sources of corpses, I mean, I have the 40. If they ever add like another sources of corpses, I would go for that. because again, that's applying pre-stack. But you can see homebrew is a post-stack multiplier. Rules lawyering, post-stack multiplier. But the big one is sources of corpses. That's the pre-stack multiplier. So I'm getting 97.44% is the multiplier instead of 25, which is great. Lurking Rider, general questions now. The Lurking Rider says, "Hey, Gaar, that's an awesome shirt. What can you say about it?" Oh, yeah, I finally got my, this is the Champions of Psychology shirt that they did the fundraiser for Take This. It's nice. It's like a thicker, nicer kind of, well, thicker material. I would say it's kind of a rougher, it's not like a super soft shirt, but I don't necessarily always like the super soft shirts, so I like it. I like it. It fits well. TJ Nubis, what pizza toppings did you choose after yesterday's stream? So I went to get pizza and a slice of pizza from the place near me, and they were out. They only do like two types of, like, by the slice. They do pepperoni, and then they do a 3 meat. But their 3 meat is pepperoni, sausage, and bacon. And folks, I don't do bacon. It's fine if you love bacon. You can have all the bacon. I just don't want the bacon. It's okay. But they were out of pepperoni, so I went and got tacos. Meant to live. I'm intimidated by trials. When am I ready to start doing them? If you have trials available, meaning if you have this button here, you can do trials. You can make your own campaign normal. And if or you can join somebody's normal, but even if you just made your own and nobody joined you, you could do normal solo. If you qualify for trials, you can do normal solo. And you can start joining other public groups to do the early stuff. It gets harder the higher you go, but the first 3 or 4 tiers, not really a problem. Not really a problem. So now, if you've got trials ready, you're ready now. Oh, hey, let's see if we can kill the dragon now. We got a lot of zombies. See how the zombies persist? And they're taking damage off Choten, I believe. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because we got way more bud. So the zombies are nice for chewing through these things, too. As long as their circle is within the area that the enemy is. Niska, shouldn't Wolfgar's Season 4 art have a too hot warning? Yes. Folks, if you didn't see, the blog post is up for Season 4 over on the Codename Entertainment website. And both the key art for Wolfgar for the season needs a warning, but so does his new skin. So does his like mythic Wolfgar skin. Good lord. What were they thinking? They were thinking, hey, we'll get a lot of people to get this. That's probably what they're thinking, yeah. Renee Brazow, when the season starts, is it possible to be event champions at the same time? I don't know what that means. Renee, I need you to clarify. If you're still here, I need you to clarify what is that question? I don't understand that question. Yeah. I don't get it. See, events happen, like these champion events happen during seasons, yes, but I don't know if that's what you're asking or not. Ken Rabbit, on day 1 in an Exalted Legend trial of about 2,000 DPS. Okay. Someone on my party scored 114,000 DPS in the same time. How is that even possible? Stuff that we don't talk about on this show, probably. Yeah. Look, they don't encourage, they won't encourage that stuff. They don't say it's against the rules, but they're not going to talk about it either. There are people who do weird things with the game that's, and they'll end up in your party sometimes. And sometimes there's a bug. Sometimes there's bugs. I've run into offline damage bugs where I build a party that shouldn't really go that far. I go offline and it's at like 1,800 or something, like, who knows? But that's most likely stuff that we don't talk about. Lord Javax, what are you most looking forward to in season 4? The Artemis nerf. Oh wait. Folks, Artemis isn't getting. Artemis is in season 4 and isn't even getting any kind of rebalance at all. Artemis is actually getting a buff in the way of feats and crit damage. So, so what am I looking forward to other than the skins? I mean, I feel like the blog post gives us kind of an overview, but it wasn't enough for me to know exactly what's changing. I had this conversation in my Discord earlier today too. It feels like the messaging didn't really tell us. It doesn't look like the champions changed that much, and yet they clearly had to have. So I'm not sure. I want to see what the new reward, like they've changed the reward tracks. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Because now there's no event currency, or there's no season currency, so you just, when you get to the tier, you get everything. Yeah, but I don't know. If they had rebalanced Artemis, that would have been what I was looking forward to the most, but they didn't. So right now, I guess it's the skins, the Wolfgar, like specifically the Wolfgar skin and the Artemis skin. Oddly enough, Artemis skin is incredibly good. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Once we actually get to see, once I get to see the champion's abilities, I'll know if I like the rework. Right now, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I can see they changed some stuff, but I don't know. I don't really know how it's all gonna turn out. Dritz apparently got even though he's not one of the main characters in the season, he apparently got a little bit of a rebalance in terms of his damage. I am looking forward to seeing if that makes him now a solid DPS. Yeah. Meant to live. About how many champs would you recommend I have before trying to unlock a 4th party? No, don't even worry about that. Just unlock all the parties as you can unlock the parties. So the recommended I have is what you need 3 extra in each slot for split the party 4. So 48 if you have a perfect number of 4 in every slot total. I mean, that's whatever turns allows you to unlock a 4th party. Unlock the 4th party. It doesn't mean you have to use it. On my new player account, I don't use the background parties at all. I only use the main party. I actually think background parties are not in the greatest play. Like, I think they function okay. I think their best use is kind of grinding out, for me, their best use is just grinding out patron challenges every week, AFK. But you have to have a lot of familiars to do that, unless you're always switching over and adjusting them. Yeah. I think they could make background parties more useful, but I haven't heard any plans about that. Library of Kasha asks thoughts on hard capping item levels. That's how I'm going to refer to this as, instead of you just throwing out random numbers. So on right now, the only items that have a cap are the slot 6s, and they've added this little cap indicator above to the top right, the purple. So a shiny is at 251. A regular would be 501. And then if you have a golden, which there's only one of, I think, in the game, it's Brivs, you get 126. Currently, these are the primary capped item levels. The only other ones are speed champions that have an item that they wanted to cap the speed effect on. So Humon's Rainbow Eggs has a cap. Sentry has a cap. Virgil has a cap. Virgil. In what I am now calling their default skin. This is Pride Marshal Virgil, but I just think that's just the default Virgil skin. I don't know if Urban Bohemian's okay with that, but this is just the default skin now for Virgil. Virgil has a slot 5 cap because that's their speed item. Kent's sitting over here with a Pride Marshal skin too, and it's just fantastic. Those are their default skins now. I don't care. That's just, if you're gonna use Kent and Virgil, they got to look fantastic the whole time. So yeah, what got floated right now. The rest of the items don't cap; they go on forever and ever. And when I say they go on forever and ever, I mean Bruner's sitting over here for me with EO4 item levels, so over 10,000 item levels. Justin mentioned on Dev Insights that they might be looking at a hard cap on all item levels because they didn't realize the exact extent to which some people were jacking up item levels until we asked them to put a hard cap on Briv's speed feat or speed item. Briv has the slot 4 and it can go forever. You need about 3,600 item levels to get to a 4 jump Briv. That's kind of step 1 for making a really strong Briv. Step 2 is getting to 9 jump. The thing about 9 jump is you need 127,000 item levels. That's a lot. Justin apparently did not realize that's what, when we asked, could you just cap it at 9 jump? When he looked into it, he realized, oh, that's 127,000 item levels? Thinks maybe that's too much power to allow people to have because it imbalances the game. It breaks Briv to go that far. But it breaks other champions to go that far too. It trivializes the content in the game. So he floated the idea on Thursday of an item level cap. He tossed out a number. I think people are saying it was 20,000. I don't know. It's not my place. I think 20,000, honestly, for the vast majority of players, no one would ever come close to 20,000. Until you play like me for like 6 years. I'm almost playing for 6 years. I've only just hit 10,000 on my core and evergreens. Pumping that many into event champions isn't something I've done. You know, they're going to look at the numbers and figure out where they want to put it. I would be shocked if it was 100,000. I would probably see 10, 20, 25. If they go to 20 or 25, I think they're being probably super generous. Because even in a full dismantle, you only get up to 10,000 item levels refunded. So they've kind of already said that's what they think is a good number. But again, that's going to be their decision. What I think about that decision doesn't really matter a whole lot, as evidenced by the fact that they didn't nerf Artemis. All right, folks, we're going to call it there. The song we're going out on, we don't have songs for the other champions that are in this event. So I've been playing Lich songs. So like last week, we played a Sararak song because BBEG in the stories is a Lich, not in the game. Today, we're going to go out with on Mitch the Lich, which is a Bardic Inspiration song from the one and only Bardic Inspiration Live that they ever had. It's a pretty short song, so enjoy. The streams are over until next week. I think they return on Tuesday. I stream on my channel, though. Mondays and Wednesdays, I do Idle Chatter. I stream Idle Champions. But also later today, I'm streaming. And today, we're streaming that Jedi game for the first time. So come hang out in about an hour-ish. We have a lot of fun over there. Lots of puns. To see you there. Bye, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Baby wizards gather round the cauldron. Close your eyes and hold your breath. I'll conjure up the legend of the Old One, the man who conquered death. Putrefied his soul when he turned his heart to cold. The day peanut butter died, he had to pay the toll, and the void consumed him whole. With his best friend by his side, a scar through his eye, with a glare that will never die, a specter on high. But he's actually a really nice guy. Mitch the Mitch, your screenplay's good, drive you to the scrap dying board. Feed your cat, help you move, take your trash out to the road, clean the gutters on your own. Mitch the Lich, funny daddy,